I was thinking who would be the best person to speak to about creating a product for the market. When I was thinking, one person came to my mind. Now he has developed our ancient Ayurvedic product into an appealing brand that not only had a huge market share in this country and also went across our borders to so many countries. Let's have a chat. Hi Charlie.
Welcome to Spa Ceylon.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
I don't think you've been in the store before.
Not this store. I've been to a few other stores. I always love to be here because of the ambience.
Nice having you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So let's get right into it. The resources in Sri Lanka is something that we always talk about, right? Most of the business people ask me, we have plenty of resources, but the problem is only very few brands have broken into the international market. So when I looked into it, always the problem has been our branding or our marketing. Okay, so this is what Spa Ceylon has got it spot on. Your branding is spotless. What was the initial thought process behind developing this brand?
See, that's the thing. We've got amazing resources, but we need to match up what we have versus what customers want, right? So Spa Ceylon was a very thoughtful brand in terms of the brand was created so it could go international. So we spent a lot of time doing research as to what the international market was looking for. And at that point, the international market, and still is, was very much going green, looking for natural alternatives, looking for natural ingredients and so on. So looking back into the country, we found this amazing resource in Ayurveda and realized that if we pitched it well enough and if we presented it well enough, that it would have amazing appeal to this a vast population in the international market. So that's exactly what we did. So for people looking at going international, it's one thing to have resources, it's one thing to have a great idea,
Absolutely.
but then it has to match up to a consumer need. It has to make a difference in the consumer's life. So you have to start matching up how your product is going to make a difference in your consumer's life. So that is absolutely key.
Key, yeah. So you mentioned like you have to know what differentiate the customer's experience and their life.
Absolutely. So if you're going into an industry, differentiation is absolutely key because now we live in a global marketplace, right? So you're not constrained by geographic area, you're not constrained by anything really, yeah? So absolutely borderless. So that means on one side it's great because you have a global market. On the other side, it's very tough because you have to stand out amidst thousands, millions of other brands. So the only way you're going to stand out is if you uniquely identify your consumer needs and fulfill them in a unique way, and a way that makes you stand out. So from the point of identification to the point of delivery of your good or service, you have to remain unique. And to remain unique, you have to keep evolving. So you have to learn, change, not just your brand, but also you have to learn and change based on how your consumer is learning and changing. For instance, look what's happened to a consumer in the last year around the world. Suddenly they can't walk into stores. Suddenly they've changed the way they consume. Suddenly the way they perceive risk is different. Suddenly the way they conceive hygiene is different. So brands that really took this on board early and changed and evolved did extremely well, but you'll also see a few brands falling off. So it's always about identifying a consumer, changing, evolving, learning.
Yeah, amazing. Speaking of consumer behavior, so it's about human behavior. This is what something largely that I'm involved in, coaching my business owners, etc. Do you have any metrics, any methods to learn human behaviors?
Well, the easiest one is observation. We spend a lot of time going to our own stores and watching people interact with product, the way they reach for something, the way they pick something up and look at it. Something as simple as this, picking up a box and looking at it, how much of the box is the cover, how do they look at it, can give you insight on how to put packaging together. Also the changes of lifestyles can be seen. What does that mean to the way they consume? What does that mean to the way they treat their leisure time? What does that mean to the way they treat their family time? All that comes into play no matter what your good or service is. So like you said, it comes down to, you can have all the strategy in the world, but it comes down to human beings, right? And they say, people don't remember what you do for them, but people remember, or what you give them, but people remember how you make them feel. Absolutely. And that's what brands need to do. That is absolutely true. It's about how you make someone feel, right? So It can be the most logical decision like buying insurance or choosing your bank or buying a cosmetic, but at the end of the day, it's about how you make someone feel. Now, when you ask people about Spa Ceylon, have you been to Spa Ceylon? They say yes. Tell me about the store. The first thing people say is, oh, it felt so relaxing. I love the fragrance.
Correct.
So it's about how you make them feel, and
They
that
talk about the product there.
they haven't even gone to the product.
Yes.
Right? They're not going to come and say, oh, it cured my acne or something like that. First, they talk about feelings. So understand that even if it's the most logical brand in the world or the most logical product in the world, it's about how you make people feel. And therefore, you have to identify the humanness of your consumer. And think backwards when you plan your marketing, your strategy, your promotion, you build your products, build your services, and that's what's going to give you the edge.
Fantastic. So creating a product for the market.
Absolutely.
Not create a product and look for the market.
Absolutely.
That's our uphill battle.
Absolutely.
So I remember once you said if you differentiate enough, you can charge a premium.
Absolutely.
Right, which I 100% agree. But when you're differentiating, apart from branding, what else can we do to differentiate a product?
So let's take a Sri Lankan context, okay? So a lot of the time, Sri Lankan brands say, okay, I want to go international, and then they go and create a brand that looks European, or American, or foreign, and has no authentic attributes from where they're coming from. So if you take a European-looking, smelling, feeling brand and go to Europe and try to compete with all the European brands, you're not going to stand out. And why should they buy a European-looking, feeling brand from Asia? Exactly. So we have this unique identity of this island we're in. We have this unique ecosystem. We have unique ingredients. We have a unique culture. We have so much vibrancy. Why not take pieces of that? Because from there, there's authenticity. And from there is uniqueness, so you stand out. Now, I'll give you the Spa Ceylon example. Before even going into product, when we go and set up our stores like this in Europe, you'll walk around the mall and you'll go past 5 European cosmetic brands. It'll be white and silver and very clean and those very the edges are perfect and all
colors,
that. And then suddenly there's this explosion of color and fragrance and pop and design in Spa Ceylon, and bang, we stand out. Yeah, and that one of the hardest things about going into developed markets is getting good retail space. But when we showcase our brand, mall owners, retail space owners say, wow, this is different. This is going to get me footfall.
Which means you have a longer
exactly
tenant.
Longer tenant, so you come in, right? So standing out is important. And why are we different? Because look around. This is all our heritage from our country. The art, the fragrance, the music, everything is from here.
And you said that even the music is customized. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that is what Sri Lankan brands need to realize. That going international doesn't mean trying to look European or foreign. Take what's unique to us and showcase it in a way that is meaningful to the customer. Use the resources and showcase it in a way that's meaningful to the customer. Also, something that I always talk about is we have a great advantage being this small island.
Yes.
That it's small enough to incubate a product before you take it to the next level, but big enough to get proper feedback and results, right? So if you want a place to really incubate a product before you go, Sri Lanka is a fantastic place, because that controlled environment helps you to get it to a place before you take it out there. So use the fact that you are a Sri Lankan brand, a Sri Lankan entrepreneur to your advantage, rather than fuss about, oh, we're Sri Lankan, how can we compete?
Absolutely, absolutely. And plus, one of the advantages is that we have our heritage. We have a lot of stories. We have our 2,500-year heritage, plus we have a modern history starting from Portuguese for 500 years old. A lot of stories we can share. So you need to capitalize on that.
Absolutely. Authenticity is becoming a huge part of any business now. Why? All of us around the world have these smartphones in our hands. And no matter what claim you do, your customer is going to put it and check. Yeah. Is this story true? Is this ingredient true? Where are they coming from? Where is this brand? We have different brands in different parts of the world trying to claim Ayurveda and do things that are not authentic. And here we have a resource, and when we see, oh, it's actually coming from the island, they're actually using ingredients that are grown on this island. The people of the island are picking it, harvesting it, preparing it, and sending it to us. Beautiful, authentic stories. And the stories around even the product. Like a Kresha Raja oil we have, it has a 5,000-year-old history. So those are going to resonate with people more and more.
Absolutely.
And countries like us have a sustainable history as well, which is something that's very valuable to a modern consumer. So we need to leverage this. We need to go out, talk about our history and how it has lent itself to creating products for us in this country. And I think Sri Lankan brands can be very, very successful if they do.
Amazing. That's a valuable piece of advice. So basically, know the story, tell a story. That's going to be key in differentiating product.
Absolutely.
And one other thing that I can avoid to see is the attention to detail, right? From the products, the music, the colors, the fragrance, how you present your staff, everything is like on point. But when you have such a large number of shops, locally and internationally, how do you make sure this is going to be seamless? This attention detail is going to be seamless.
Okay, I'll start with the attention detail part. See, again, with a brand in a global marketplace, one of the biggest things to worry about is you're fighting for the attention of your consumer. Then you're fighting to remain relevant and be in their memory. And to do that, the best way to do it is to engage them in a multi-sensory manner. And that's what we try to do with every Spa Ceylon experience, right? From the music, from the sights, from the sounds, from the taste, from the touch. Even if you take one of our packaging, it's more than just a box. There's some grain on it, there's special color on it. You open it up, there's fragrance that comes straight out of it. So that multi-sensory engagement, those little details are what's going to be edged in your consumer's memory, which is what every brand aspires to do. And how to get that right over and over again? Well, it's a lot of work in terms of what we do. It's a lot of cataloging. It's a lot of putting in a lot of processes in, a lot of checklists, and ensuring they're followed. Yeah, so thankfully, again, we live in a digital age where everything can be put together. So anywhere in the world you go, I can tell you what the wattage of the light bulb is, what the Pantone color of this cupboard is, what music will be playing, what fragrance you'll see.
So leveraging technology.
Everything, and everything is documented and good to go and monitored. But again, what it is today is not possibly what it's going to be 3 years from now, because learning and evolving and changing and making sure that change happens seamlessly is also an important thing.
Absolutely. So one of the key things that I always tell my clients as well, continuous and never-ending improvement for business owners as well as the team. Absolutely. So that's something that you mentioned.
Absolutely.
So we need to be ahead of the game. If you do study all the time, the market, the behaviors, etc. So do you use any other methods to stay ahead of the game?
See, yes. So it's like you said, continuous learning. So you have to learn from multiple angles, right? Your competitors are a great way to learn. Your consumers are a way you must learn. Your staff interact with consumers one-on-one every day. They are an amazing source of information. Industry trends, when it comes to us about ingredient trends, new findings in packaging, in sustainability, so that sort of learning. Research and development, we spend a lot of time and money and effort on research and development every day. So our research and development is not only looking forward, it's also looking backwards.
Right.
Because we are looking at formulas from 5,000 years ago and see, okay, how can we make this relevant to the modern consumer? So again, so make sure you're getting your learnings from multiple angles.
Yes.
That's, for one thing, it assures that what you're taking in as learning is correct. The other thing, it gives you a more holistic picture of how the world is changing, how your industry is changing. And that gives you that edge to get there before anyone else.
Yes.
And always stay relevant to your consumer's need, which is the ultimate goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. So two things I keep hearing is know your country.
Yeah.
Know your country very well, your heritage, your history, your people, the upbringing, the culture, etc. Because that can perceive very well as well.
Yeah.
The second thing is know the present world that we are living in.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's changing. We have millennials and Gen Z coming to the workforce. They have a complete different behaviors. We need to keep learning about how they behave, rather than complaining they're not purchasing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you have to know your consumer.
Yeah.
You can't complain that the consumer is changing, because how they change is none of your business.
Exactly.
Yeah? So your business is to change with them. You can't go and change consumers. You have to change to their lifestyle and add value to their lifestyle. And that's when they decide to buy you.
Yeah. And lastly, so post-pandemic,
Yeah.
Sri Lanka as well as post-pandemic international, the world market. Do you see any new opportunities emerging?
Well, we've been waiting for post-pandemic for a while, and we
For a
still
while,
can't. Look, I think the way people perceive hygiene is going to change. I think what has also happened is the way people behave in terms of purchasing has changed. Look at Sri Lanka alone. How many people who did not buy online have now gone online?
Absolutely, yes.
And they've gone online to areas they never would have gone in, and the chances are they're never going to go back now. Groceries to laundry to all kinds of
Which is convenient.
which is convenient, and they found it. And businesses that thought they would never evolve, our tea auction, huge history. We never thought they'll go digital. They kept saying it went digital, and it's doing well. So like that, there are going to be technological changes that would have usually taken 10 years that have happened now in like 1.5. So we need to embrace that. We need to understand shopping patterns, behavior patterns, how they've changed. Some of it will come back for sure, but again, it will be a more educated consumer, how they perceive risk in terms of interacting with product, people, all that will change. So it's about adjusting to that. Also, what's happened is there is a heightened consciousness on health and well-being.
Yeah.
So that is an amazing opportunity for brands, particularly like us
Yes.
and other wellness brands, to go out and start talking to people about products, Ayurveda based and so on. That could be really helpful. If you look at even how people started looking at ingredients, turmeric went through the roof internationally.
Absolutely, yes.
Right? So people are identifying these age-old wonder herbs and saying, hey, we want things with that in it. If you look at sales statistics of supplements and things like that on even Amazon, things like ashwagandha, turmeric, things that, I mean, it's in our day-to-day food.
Exactly.
People are just going nuts about it. So look at the opportunities for
That's
us.
opportunity, yes.
Look at the opportunity in Sri Lankan food. Okay?
Alone, yes.
We've got ginger, turmeric, all these amazing wonder herbs in our food. Let's take that to the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it's shown the world that South Asian culture has a lot to give in terms of well-being. It's now up to us to leverage that.
Awesome. So thank you so much for your time, and I wish you the Spa Ceylon goes strength to strength. And I'll see you again in a time that I don't have to fist bump you.
Thank you.
See you.